We're not even a week into the release of the Thunderbolts, but we're gonna do what everybody else is doing, including Marvel, and we're gonna spoil the shit out of it because why
Oh
not?
yeah,
So
This is your warning.
if you didn't see the headline
now.
of the video, right?
Yeah, this is full spoilers for Thunderbolts. If you have not watched the movie yet, do not watch this. I mean, I guess you can, and then go watch the movie anyway. But then there'll be no surprises. And what's life without a couple surprises?
You can't be surprised in this day and age, especially with Marvel. Paul's one of the few
I was surprised
that gets through most of it. I was gonna say, out of people that I know, the two of you, the ones that usually get the spoiled the least, which is great for you guys. I'm too nosy for my own good, unfortunately. So
yeah, I managed to remain spoiler free for things that I want to be spoiler free on.
Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment. What can I say? So, all right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about Thunderbolts, asterisk, really, the new Avengers.
The new Avengers, which is probably what we'll call it for the rest of the show, to be honest, because that is the title. I bet you that'll be the title when they release the Blu-ray.
Paul, sound
they're already changing stuff.
There's been some discussion today, and again, it's social media, obviously, so no one knows fact or not that it's going to remain as Thunderbolts still.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, that's what the scuttlebutt is, and they're saying it's somewhat confirmed. I don't believe anything yet. I'm with you. I feel like they'd probably change it, but I don't know how that is. Has that ever happened for a movie before where they changed the title after release?
Yeah, I think that's why they did it. It's clever. I mean,
but I mean, you can look at things like Mission Impossible, right? Like they did Dead Reckoning Part 1, but there's no Part 2 now. So Dead Reckoning has been retroactively made just Dead Reckoning, and Part 2 is the final Reckoning now. So, like, I have a Blu-ray that says Dead Reckoning Part 1, but they have new ones coming out.
They've changed that.
Yeah. But when you watch the film, does it still say Part 1 in the beginning of it when you boot it up?
Mine does, but I don't know if new ones do.
Right. If they
went away for a second and kicked
it's kind of like Back to the
office.
Future, right? When they put like To Be Continued in Back to the Future, that wasn't in the movie originally, or even A New Hope, but they didn't change the title of the movie
itself. They just changed context of it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they kind of did for Star Wars, right? Because A New Hope is not the original title; it was just Star Wars.
Right. True.
I
mean, I think that the biggest challenge here with this entire movie and the MCU as a whole is we know where it's been. We know that it has not really seen improvement to the point where people feel like they're back again. Because even a movie like this, I think for the most part, my predetermined thoughts is that will majorly be favorable to the movie. But I think that so much damage has been done over the last 3 years or so with the last phases that at this point, people are just so underwhelmed that even if they go see it, they're not rushing to see it because of, hey, they're boasting it's going to be the next best thing. How is it that we have a Thunderbolts movie that's kind of like in the, a lot of people compare it to Suicide Squad in the veins of the type of team it is, things like that. How do we have a movie like that that's faring better than a Captain America movie that came out right before?
It's word of mouth. I mean, like me personally, I've been evangelizing the movie. Like as soon as I got out of the theater, I was on Discord talking to everybody that I know. Like, hey, I know you guys aren't going to watch this because everything has sucked shit so bad for the last couple of years. Go watch this fucking movie. Like, go see this. It's worth going to watch in a movie theater again. Like, this doesn't look like it was shot for Disney Plus, like freaking Brave New World. Like, this is an actual movie within the confines of Marvel. I know everybody's going to debate back and forth, blah, 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 blah. It actually feels like an artistic vision from a director who actually has a style, who actually put his own stamp on a film and put it back out the way the old movies used to be. Like it or not, Jon Favreau put his stamp on Iron Man. Shane Black put his stamp on Iron Man 3, right? Kenneth Branagh put his stamp on fucking Thor. Like, those movies were real movies made by people that had an artistic style, not just content mill slop, which is what Brave New World felt like. It's what Quantumania felt like. It's what Multiverse of Madness, as much as everyone wanted to be like, hey, Sam Raimi is going to come back and do Sam Raimi stuff. It felt like 25% Sam Raimi, 75% beholden to, hey, we have to connect to WandaVision. Like, this is the first one that felt kind of divorced from all that.
Right.
And like, hey, yes, obviously it works better if you've seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because then you have more context for stuff. It works better if you've seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. It works better if you've watched all the Marvel stuff, but as a standalone movie, it still rocks and fucking rolls. So I think they kind of pared things down and got back to the basics of, we're going to tell a good story with good characters that you're going to give a shit about, with a beginning, a middle, and an end that relates to the larger canon, but is not entirely in service of something else. The entire movie did not feel like a trailer for the next movie, which is where I think Marvel thrived at the beginning. Each movie was connected, but each movie was its own movie. And then they kind of lost that as we went through. This one felt like it was solid again. This felt like good phase 2 Marvel movie. So I was blown away, and I had no expectations. It was just one of those like, hey, I watch them all, so I'm going to go watch this one.
Good take. And again, I know that we don't usually talk the Marvel movies, Tyler, because of that, opinion for the most part. Paul and I tend to talk offline, for all that stuff. And I would say as of late, the last year or two, maybe even longer, we've been mostly casual with the movies for the same thing. And we were in it for so long. We had the podcast, we were focused on that realm and things like that. But yeah, I think the same idea of just, we're kind of beaten to a pulp with mediocrity. And we know that it can be better. How do we have movies that are 10 years old that are light years visually and storytelling aspect than half the stuff that's out?
Right.
And you definitely leaned onto a couple of those aspects with the directors and things like that. I think the other aspect is you ended with Endgame on such a high note. Like, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Like, in theory, we have the answer, but is that answer going to peak that? I don't know. Especially where we're going, even with the greatness of this movie. Like, we're rushing into this because there were so many fumbles leading to this buildup. Because
it feels like kind of a reset too, because their whole plan was set on Kang.
Right.
Kang was the future. And then I think it's 2 parts, honest to God. Because I'm not going to give Marvel, or I'm not going to give Disney too much credit. I think had Quantumania done like gangbusters, like been huge, and everyone loved Kang, I think Disney probably would have swept the abuse under the rug, and they'd have kept him rocking and rolling. But it was, or they would have recast him. But I think it was the 1-2 punch of nobody really bought into Kang outside of his little bit in the Loki show, which, all 7 people that watched and gave a shit about it liked him. But in Quantumania, he was awful. The characterization was awful. And Jonathan Majors turned out to be an abuser. So they were like, wipe our hands clean, let's do Doom. I feel like they already had the stuff in place. I feel like Doom was probably their plan after Kang. That seemed like the natural progression. Like, you did Thanos, you did Kang, then you do Doom. And I think they just cut out that middle piece, let that all fall away. And this is, I think, Thunderbolts, I think New Avengers is the first piece, the first building block towards the next whole set. And like I told my buddy, I was like, this feels like it sets up the next 5 to 10 years. Well, like it establishes, hey, this is kind of the feeling that we're going to have going forward. So I'm excited. I'm hopeful that the Doom stuff's going to work. I'm not sold on RDJ being Doom. Like, it's exciting. It's cool. He is phenomenal. I don't know. Unless they're doing multiversal stuff where he is a variant of Tony Stark, that's fine. I'm bought in on that. That's great. And then maybe there's a bait and switch and not variant Doom comes out later, and it's a Mads Mikkelsen again, or it's somebody that really nails Doom, right? So I am withholding judgment, but that's the only question mark for me, really. And how much are we going to do Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards? I haven't seen the movie yet. I don't like the trailers. I don't like him as Reed. I think Pedro Pascal is a great actor who is great at playing
himself.
Pascal. And so I really don't see him as Reed. But again, I'm not gonna pass judgment until the movie comes out. But this definitely felt like a step in the right direction.
Paulie, your thoughts?
I want to say, just because we're talking the saga, the phases, everything. So remove New Avengers / Thunderbolts from this, because I really enjoyed the movie. I'll lead with that also. But I still feel like everything the path that we're on is still very much damage control for the majors and the Kang situation. I think, in my opinion, I think Doom is rushed way too soon. Look how long we built for Thanos. It's just like, and Doom is arguably on that same level. So unless, like Tyler said, unless this is some sort of bait and switch, or this isn't our prime Doom that will be Doom going forward after Secret Wars, I'm a little disappointed in that. And even the Fantastic Four, I don't mind Pedro Pascal, but you're right, plays very much the same. He doesn't really play a different role in anything, but a lot of these actors in these Marvel movies the same way. And I'm not crazy about them using Galactus already in that as well. I feel
agreed.
like, I mean, even if the universe gets destroyed, which you kind of believe is what's going to happen based on their planet, based off of the post credit for this movie, I'm not entirely sold on where they're going. This didn't make me feel more confident in the rest of the phases. It made me feel a little more confident that they're going to pick proper filmmakers to make these movies again and give them a little bit more leeway rather than do the cookie cutter.
Right.
All right, this is the same way we do every one of our movies, and someone's butting in to make sure that this is the way we do these movies. And this definitely, I agree with Tyler, is a step in the right direction. It didn't feel like every other Marvel movie in the past 5 years has felt. I enjoy Quantumania for what it's worth, because I'm a big Ant-Man fan, but you're right, it definitely went in the wrong direction. But
Ant-Man's the best part about that movie. I'm absolutely hands down.
I like that they went to do a different kind of realm. I think they could have went even crazier than they did.
Yes.
And, we have hundreds of years of comics. So to Benny's point of it peaking out, I don't think that should be an issue, but it's also, they want results immediately.
Right.
And dealing with Disney, they want money and results, and Disney Plus shows and all this content. And now they've oversaturated, and there definitely is superhero fatigue. So we'll see if both Fantastic Four and Superman, coming out in the same month in July, have an issue. Because between those two and Jurassic World, something is going to bomb. All three movies are not going to be successful. It's impossible.
My money would be on Fantastic Four bombing. Just from what I've seen, just from word of mouth, properties, where they sit right now, like everybody showed up for the Jurassic World movies. Yeah. They didn't love them, but they fucking showed up. Dinosaurs put butts in seats.
I agree.
No matter what, across the board. I think Superman has a power that nobody else does. Like, that's a property that's going to get people's attention, and it's the start of the new DCEU, and it's James Gunn. So I feel like if any of those three movies is going to fall apart, it's going to be Fantastic Four.
That's where I differ. Is I don't know Superman. If we don't know if Zack Snyder's universe has done enough damage that people might not go. Similarly, the Marvel that people.
I'd say it's the opposite. Like,
think so?
Yeah, because
Superman Returns didn't do well box office wise either.
No,
that was playing on the homage and the history of Christopher Reeves and being a continuation. And this kind of is obviously James Gunn's doing his own thing, but I mean, you have the song, he's going to lean into it a little bit.
So I think you're exactly right. I think nobody was ready for it when Superman Returns happens. It was because I have vague memories of things, when that was coming out. Like, people were saying too soon. People were saying, hey, it's a cheap knockoff, not an homage. Hey, it doesn't look respectful. So we had that. And then Zack Snyder's came, which, to be fair, I like Zack Snyder's Superman fine.
So right.
I think Henry Cavill did phenomenal with what he was given. I think it was a different take on the character. I understand the people that don't like it, though. So now we have what looks like exactly what you're saying, more of the Christopher Reeve style Superman. A lot of nostalgia in the music, in the visuals, in the themes that this movie seems to be trying to convey. We are now far enough removed from Christopher Reeve's Superman that now this feels okay. And for anybody that absolutely hated the Zack Snyder one, they're like, yes, finally, I get Superman back. So I really think that it's going to be surprisingly successful. I guess not surprising for DC, but surprising for us.
I mean, if it's not successful, there's going to be massive fallout.
Yes,
there's going to be massive.
It'll be smothered in the crib.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll let, as much as I like James Gunn as a filmmaker, I don't think they would let him continue to operate. I think this is the test.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring up because you're right. Fantastic Four is going to have Galactus and Silver Surfer. You look at what's that?
A Silver Surfer.
A Silver Surfer.
Not the Silver Surfer that everyone thinks, but again, it's accurate. People just flip out immediately that it's a different version, but I'm cool with that.
Exactly. Cool yeah. I actually had kind of a similar feeling with Superman. Like, I feel like we're packing too much into these movies now. Look at how many characters we're seeing in the Superman trailer. Look how many other heroes, how many villains, like how much is being shoved into these movies. Like, we don't need another origin story necessarily, but
either of these movies.
Exactly. But maybe we do one villain at a time. Maybe we do one additional hero at a time instead of slamming them all together immediately and being like, take it and go. Because I feel like nobody's going to have the appropriate amount of screen time. Either Silver Surfer is going to get washed immediately and it's just going to be like, oh, well, that was fun. Now let's fight Galactus, the real bad guy. Or they're both going to be there the entire time and neither of them is going to get enough of what they're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
I would think Galactus is like the Red Hulk and doesn't show up until the very end of the movie, and they've already spoiled it for everybody.
Yeah. Oh man, that's
a problem
for a movie that leans so hard into Red Hulk in the marketing for Brave New World.
Yeah.
Like, dude, just now. To be fair, I didn't want to look at him any longer. Like, he should not have been on screen for as long as he was. But if you're gonna make him like your main selling point of the movie, only having him pop up at the very end of the movie for a minute just to get his ass whooped is kind of like, like, what are we doing, guys?
Oh boy, that's when the power of friendship doesn't work.
No, it was really funny. So I watched Brave New World at home the other day for the first time. And I'm doing a complete rewatch of the entire MCU with my kids. So they're watching all these movies for the first time. And I had actually skipped the 2008 Incredible Hulk because I was like, you guys, you watch the Avengers and all that stuff. Like, they know Mark Ruffalo's the Hulk. They kind of feel one way about it. It's like, you guys aren't going to care about this. But then they were like, no, we want to watch the Hulk movie. It's like, okay, that's fine. So I watched it like the day after Brave New World. And I was blown away by how much fucking better that movie was. Like, Hulk looked better, Abomination looked better, the movie looked better, like everything about the, in my mind, atrocious Incredible Hulk movie beat the brakes off of Brave New World. And I was like, yeah, no, they've got to change. They got to do something better than this.
I think the biggest problem that I see is the fans like us that like analyze everything and we want to make sense of what you've given us. You know, the Disney has given us so much context over the last couple of phases, and there's been so many, you know, reveals that have yet to shed light. How many of them are we gonna recon? How many of them are relevant anymore? You know, we have the whole thing with the Eternals. Like, is that even like, how do you know? And I'm just thinking in the sense of scale. Come back. No, I don't want them back. I'm good. I'm just saying in the scale of what happened at the end of the movie, you know, not my feet stomping moment before that. You know, the whole thing of a celestial coming down and people acknowledging it, you know, and seeing it take a person. They don't know the context of who was just taken. They think it like a human was taken. You know what I mean? How do we have not mentioned that it took until Captain America to acknowledge Tiamat, you know, which kind of, you know, that's a quick reference of like, we can find a use for him. Let's make him adamantium. You know what I mean? Like, it's a real throwaway at the end of the day because it's not any origin story I remember when it comes to where it comes from. But, you know, outside of that, then there's just all these little things that we've had, you know, because of so many movies failing. like the end of what was it, the last horrible Thor movie, when we showed Hercules. Ray ain't coming home. Like, like you think that guy's coming back? Like,
in
come on.
Secret Wars or something. I mean,
right. I mean,
I think the problem is that they sequel trilogy it like Star Wars. They didn't have a plan in place. Like they developed really quickly. I mean, they had everything to work with when they did Phase One. So they got to pick and choose. Okay, well, we don't have every property, right? We don't have Spider-Man. We don't have X-Men at the time. So what character do we want to pick that we can pick from, and we'll build out our next 10 years of movies off of that. This time, now they have everyone. They have a bullpen of everyone, and they still don't have a concise vision on where they want these sagas to go. Is that because Disney butted in too much? I don't know, because it still seems like you said all these post credits aren't going to connect. They're not going to. I mean, is it our fault for expecting them to, because that's the way they preconditioned us on the phases 1 through 3? But again, you have all of these properties now. You have everything together. Everyone's in a rush, obviously, to get X-Men, and we're going to get X-Men now in Doomsday, which I thought was rather soon. But I don't know if there now a concise plan in place for going forward. I'm not optimistic.
I don't know if there's a concise plan, but I see the potential. Like, I see if they learn the right lessons from New Avengers and kind of lean into that, like we were saying, that maybe they can right the ship. Definitely not giving them full praise and full credit yet. Like, I'm not going to say, hey, yes, this is clearly the direction they're going. But if they do choose to go that way, I could see it being better than not, especially when compared to what we have gotten. I don't think they'll ever reach Endgame again. Yeah. Like, and I'm fine with that. It doesn't ever need to be Endgame again, but Winter Soldier again? Like,
that's just kind of what we got. And I'm okay with that.
I think they can reach that peak again. I just think it's going to take a generation probably too, where the kids that watched Endgame growing up, then they become older, closer to adults, like we did when we watched. Well, Tyler's a little bit younger than Benny and I, but when we watched like the Batman movies growing up, and '89 Batman and Batman Returns, and even now the early Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, when we saw him come back for No Way Home, and the X-Men movies, they're pulling the nostalgia for us for Doomsday, right? Casting all those X-Men. So I think eventually that would have to happen. You get all these actors back that were in Endgame 10 years, 15 years from now, and do something with them that would pull in us that will be really old at that point, and then bring in the generation that got brought up on it.
But I feel like they're doing that now in their eyes with Secret Wars, because in all senses of it, when you think about Endgame, think about who has not been in the MCU. It's been pretty much the core Avengers, for the most part. And, based on leaks and what we know, a good chance, a large portion of the Avengers, core Avengers, in one way or another, are supposed to be in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, we could get all original members in some capacity.
Watch the
except for Hawkeye, because they want to give him half the money. So
yeah, I didn't watch the 12-hour chair pan or whatever fucking marketing bullshit that they pulled.
We did that. Unfortunately, that was terrible.
Yeah, I didn't fucking do that. But so you can answer my question. Scarlett Johansson coming back as Black Widow? No. So we know Jeremy Renner's not coming back as Hawkeye. Chris Evans coming back as Cap.
I think Jeremy Renner will be back for sure. I think
especially after that speculation.
I think this is Andrew Garfield all over again, and Charlie Cox all playing coy about playing the role. I think he'll be back for sure.
You think he was bullshitting about Hawkeye season 2, or you think that was?
No, I think he was probably telling the truth about that, but I think he's already going to be contracted to be in the movies, whether he wants to do a TV show or not. I don't.
Okay, gotcha. I kind of felt like it was a package deal. Like they were all, like Marvel was just like, yeah, we really don't. We kind of started.
I feel like they probably started bringing it up after, and they were like,
maybe
the show didn't do so great, so we're not going to give you all this money.
And I don't blame Jeremy Renner for that.
Yeah,
I mean that show was dog water, but he was fine. He did what he was supposed to with, again, subpar material being shot with $12 allocated to the special effects for some reason. So
yeah, there's a lot of that. But I really think the other thing too is, like I said, if let's say we get all original members one way or another, variants, because that's the only way that it would make sense. You have people that are dead. war on the moon, come back in other forms. Is that enough? I don't
It
know,
feels like
especially because so many
recasting
people
is
talk about it.
the right call, though. If you're going to play the variant card, cast somebody else that can be your future. Don't just
No, I
rely on
agree.
casting the old people.
No, well,
to-
I don't mean a
think
variant of the same character. I mean a variant like in a different version of the character. So for like Captain America, he'd be Captain Hydra, is what the speculation has been for a while. So he wouldn't be another Steve Rogers that we know. He'd be the darker version. And the
Right.
Widow would maybe be another White Widow, or she could be another character. I'm saying in the sense of like, I think you're right. If they go with another Captain America, you bring another Captain America, like a good one. You know what I mean? Wolverine, you bring another variant. I don't think they're going to do that until maybe Secret Wars, where we might get a couple of, the bigger characters in different forms.
Yeah, I just feel like, I mean, it's morbid, but I feel like we've milked some of these actors to the point that they really can't do this anymore. Like, I mean, I love Sir Patrick Stewart. He just has to sit in a chair, I guess, so he can probably be fine. But like, are we going to have Ian McKellen trying to do stunts and shit?
I
know.
He's
but
gonna,
like
he's
flying around, he's going to look goofy.
I think they're all going to get axed in Doomsday, right? I mean, these.
Again,
but then why? Yeah. That feels almost worse. We're going to bring back all these nostalgic characters just to murder them on screen, but to get you to come in and watch it in the first place.
Well, I think it's putting rest to the Fox universe. They started that with Deadpool.
They already did.
We weren't as obvious.
Logan would be perfect.
No, I agree.
Even Days of Future Past, and left these guys with a good ending point because they altered time, and then that was it. That timeline was like reset. Jean was still alive. Everything was fine. All right, we'll leave it alone then. And then
we fucked around with Apocalypse, and we had Dark Phoenix. Just don't even start.
I like to forget about both of those movies even happened.
Apocalypse Moon Knight. Guy can't make up his mind either. I mean, this guy hasn't even gotten a second chance either. That's another thing. Think about all the Disney TV. All these characters, they went on a whim announcing it. This. You got Wonder Man. Nobody knows who's going on with Wonder Man. Apparently, that's coming out. You have Ironheart that's coming out in June. Why?
I don't think it's coming out.
It's coming out. It's already been
announced.
So?
Yeah. Oh, I don't think it's going to happen. We haven't
seen
fuck all about it. Exactly. It's May.
But this is what happens. Paul and I used to talk about this all the time. We used to say that they were notorious with the Disney Plus shows. We would get nothing on most of them until a month or even closer. Then all of a sudden there's a trailer and there's a release date and there's no hype for it.
They already have a release date for it. So there's going to be a trailer sometime this month and it'll come out next month.
Because there's I think an AI trailer that's out there now that people are getting the talk because somebody was doing like a cam. So it looks like they're watching it from a theater. Like, why the fuck would that trailer be in the theater? But they showed like some footage. We've seen some footage already, but they showed it, and then they showed like it looks like AI version of Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto. So, again, I think that's getting people talking. But come on, because there was a recent article I think about a day or two ago where she's mentioned that Robert Downey Jr. gave her a blessing and said he can't wait for her version of the character. Okay.
Yeah, Stephen King said that the Salem's Lot adaptation on HBO Max was fucking phenomenal too. So I don't much care about the passing of the torches.
I don't mind all the Disney Plus shows, as long as you're just not saying that every single thing needs to be connected. Just like we have comics for all these different characters, we can have them in their own world, stay separate, and just if that's someone's niche and they like that character, you can watch it. But if you go in with the expectation that everything has to be tied together, and when's this character going to show up again, then it becomes a problem that you have to shoehorn 100 characters.
They conditioned us. That's why.
Like, I don't want watching a TV show to be a chore. I don't want to have fucking 8 hours of homework to do before I can fully understand a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's what happened with Multiverse of Madness. Like, people were like, I had to watch WandaVision to know what the hell's going on.
Right.
And like, how many people were invested in that?
Captain America Brave New World, you had to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier to understand
and the Incredible Hulk.
And the Incredible Hulk.
It is really a sequel to Incredible Hulk.
But if you look at it, conversely, New Avengers, you did not have to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier to understand. And that's where I think, or Captain America, that's where I think they differ very strongly. Yes, it was great that I understood who John Walker was. It was great that I understood how Bucky went from where he was in the previous movies to where he is now as a congressman and trying to kind of turn things around and atone for some of the stuff. But if I didn't know any of that, the movie explained it to you. The movie, you can pick that up immediately through character storytelling. Like, awesome. You got
With
the
good
important
writing.
bits
I
and
think
good writing.
what's essential viewing, because it's just supposed to be a spoiler show for Thunderbolts, right? We're not really.
No, we're just angry. We're just angry now.
But I think the essential viewing is anything with Yelena in it, right? Because her character is so emotionally tied that like you need Black Widow, and maybe you need Hawkeye because she's in Hawkeye, but I guess not. You probably just need Black Widow.
I'll be honest with you, I fucking forgot she was in the Hawkeye show. So I apparently didn't need that information. But you did need to see Black Widow. But I'm fine with them saying you have to have watched the previous movies.
Right.
It's the like you said, shoehorning in the TV shows that's like.
Well, I like that with this new movie, they subtly tell you kind of like where you can get this information. Like they reference like little points of like, oh, you can go back to learn more about that. Where instead of like you having to fill the void yourself, no pun intended, and say like, oh, why do they have a relationship already? Like it didn't matter because they perfectly blended it all together. The other thing that I really want to give credit where credit's due is they made these characters so much more likable in the aspect of like, you know, you think about John Walker, you hated him.
Oh,
and it was in my opinion, it was from bad writing.
But you're meant to hate that show.
Well, yeah, no, I feel like it's not bad writing that you hated John Walker. You were supposed to hate John Walker. If this movie had opened up,
I didn't like him as a character, not because of the position. I didn't like how he's portrayed completely different. He's still a little bit of a dick, but he's different. I feel like he's a different character in this.
I'm going to push back. He's one of the shining points in that show. I think he's one of the better parts of that show.
I agree with Paul. I think he's evil. He's a bastard, and that comes through in the show. My thing is, I feel like had this movie immediately rehabbed him, and like he drops in, he's just plucky and fun, and he's quippy and all this shit, and you're supposed to just like him right away because you're supposed to like him because he's one of the protagonists. That would have been awful. That would have been bad writing. That would have been bad characterization. Right. They drop him in. He's a piece of shit. You hate him still at the beginning of this movie, and then you see.
He's still a dick in the whole movie, really.
But he's a lovable dick.
He's not. He drops in and immediately tries to shoot everybody, and then he's thinking.
They always try to shoot each other. Don't defend that. Come on.
I'm not defending it, but I'm saying they're all supposed to be bad at the beginning of the movie. You're not supposed to like anybody except kind of Yelena because
I'm a former wrestling fan. I'd like to throw out that you like the villains, you like the heels.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But I'm saying they don't change his character. Except for throughout the course of the film. And he goes from being completely selfish, completely shut off, completely just narcissistic and evil at the beginning to coming around and seeing the value in team and seeing the value in companionship. And you can see him struggle through those things as the movie progresses, which I felt like was good characterization, good writing, and great acting. I mean, let's be real here. Russell kills it, right?
No, I like him as a whole. Yeah, I think the writing speaks to how their character developed in this, because the movie's not very long too. That's the other thing, and it's one of the few exceptions where I watched it and I felt like the trailer showed so much. We didn't miss too much other than like lengthy context of the movie itself. Like there wasn't really too many surprises outside of like the obvious little things here and there. But
that's Marvel's problem lately. Though. Trailers reveal.
They reveal everything.
And they used to not have to do that because everybody would come watch the movies no matter what. Now they overshare because that's what they need to get people to come see the movie. So I'm hoping, to your point, that if the movies start getting better again and they start selling on their own merit again, they can pull back showing everything in the fucking trailers again. That would be really nice.
Right. Well, my fear for this movie is, as of recording, it's not doing great in the theater. That's another big aspect.
It'll have legs.
Yeah. They seemed pretty happy with it on opening weekend.
I think they're content.
There's no
at this point,
main lead in this film. There's no Harrison Ford.
No. I know. I'm just thinking their expectations.
Like you're saying, anti-heroes. This is not. There's no real tag to draw people in for this movie other than good word of mouth now. and now that they're changing it to Avengers.
Well, that's where I was getting at, which is, you don't think that the reveal of the name being less than a week after the movie comes out, that's not like a panic button.
No,
Oh,
I
if
think
we
it's
call
going
it
to be
Avengers,
Wave
we're going to
2.
get more people to go in.
I thought it was originally, but based off of them having all this stuff prepared to put on top of the advertisements, and they even had them record at the screening where they ripped off the poster. Like they had this stuff prepared, and how long they think that was going to stay in the vault? Like, no, they're gonna show that, but I still think it's soon. But yeah, it was probably prepared for this particular reason.
Yeah. No, I agree. I worry because of Marvel's expectations, and when you're thinking about the numbers that are being shared, I know that the movie and that cast doesn't speak to the big gangbusters that some of their movies get. But I feel like coming after Captain America, like I feel like they're just like very nervous in the sense of like,
Well,
all
they
right,
should be.
are people good? Yeah, right. And I just don't know if the numbers are reflecting that people are giving it. I don't think enough people are seeing it yet, if that makes sense.
So here I'll do some numbers. I hate being a pocket watcher as far as box office goes. I think box office success is an absolutely abysmal metric to measure art by. But I understand that that's what studios are going to do. That's how studios look at it. It's just dollars and cents at the end of the day. So Thunderbolts made 162 million globally, with 86 million coming from international markets for the opening, right? Captain America Brave New World made a little bit more. It made 192 million. But Brave New World immediately dropped off a fucking cliff. Everybody was like, this is absolutely terrible. This is abysmal dog shit. Don't go watch this. So it fell off instantly. Thunderbolts has had, from what I've seen, absolutely nothing but praise from like Marvel people and from not Marvel people, from critics, like legitimate film critics that watch all the movies. They've been like, hey, this is a good fucking movie. You should go watch this. So I think it is going to continue to climb, and it is going to do way, way better than maybe we would expect, especially now. Everybody that wanted to see Thunderbolts saw it for the most part pretty early on, or they were on the fence. Now, anybody that was kind of on the fence before and sees maybe, hey, it's New Avengers, you got to go see it. Like, it's New Avengers now, and it's got good word of mouth. I'm curious enough to go watch it. Like, if I hadn't already, you know what I mean? I feel like it's been done pretty well, and I think it's going to be a success for them.
Well, we're into now, like this is like summer season, right? So
yeah,
and I'm not following it beyond what we spoke about for July, but like what's coming out in the next for May, basically, what's coming out that'll dethrone it is the way I look at it. I don't know.
Right.
I don't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that's coming out this month that could be like, oh, people are going to go out and go see this film.
Let's see. I don't know of
probably
anything
for its benefit
huge.
And
yeah, for sure, right? But usually this is a cluster time of year, right? You start in
May. Mission Impossible. The new Mission Impossible hits May 23rd. That'll be the one that knocks it off.
3 weeks away.
Exactly.
Right?
There's nothing else between now and then.
And that's still a gamble too, because the last one underperformed.
Underperformed, but it'll still sell. It'll be crazy. I think it'll be big enough that it will be the thing that dethrones.
I think it'll take first. Yeah, I just don't know. They may still do well.
Also, apparently, Lilo and Stitch live action comes out the same day, so 9 people will watch that. Be super excited.
You'd be surprised. There'll be people that'll check that out.
I think that's one
all
of the
those
rare,
people are wrong, but
I think it's one of the rare instances where the live action may work.
Yeah,
because I don't like the live action takes at all.
Yeah,
but like from what I've seen with it, I'm like, all right, I can. I mean, again, for me, movies like that don't need to be made again and again and again.
There's a new Karate Kid coming out this month.
There you go. That's it. There you go.
Especially
Karate Kid Legends.
With Cobra Kai popularity.
I had the trailer in the beginning before Thunderbolts.
We've got Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio rocking and rolling together. Ooh,
that's spot right there.
Exhilarating. So back to actual Thunderbolt stuff. How'd you guys feel about Sentry? Bob.
I really like the way
I loved him.
What's his Pullman? I know he's
Pullman.
Yeah, Louis Pullman.
But how he performed, like I was a little disappointed when Stephen Yeun was supposed to be the role, right? And then he ended up having to leave it. But now I'm like, I can't imagine him in the role, honestly.
Not at all.
I think the way he played it was perfect. I really like. I don't know how they're going to use him in the other movies, which could be a problem because the Russos
He's so goddamn strong.
They don't know how to use overpowered characters at all. And
well, you make him Bob. That's how you.
I hope they
right
do
now.
more Void stuff with other characters.
I do too.
That's what I'm really hopeful, because that's some of the best stuff in the movie, and that's again not the cookie cutter bullshit that we've been dealing with over and over and over and over again.
It's not just different colored energy powers flying through the air and one's stronger than the other. You know what I mean? Like it's a different interpretation of power, or a different representation of powers. And I'm a big fan. And
it's like the subtle thing that a lot of people didn't notice is like when you see the scene in Walker's head after they climb up the chamber, is like he was just about to jump down the chamber, like he was about to commit suicide. And a lot of people, like, it's such a real quick subtle thing that they don't touch back. They don't try to like really force it down the audience to like know he was going to do that.
But but you see him take that little half step back from the ledge, like, oh fuck, and he's like, wait a minute, what was I doing? Oh God, man, I cannot speak highly enough about how well it seemed they were able to avoid the traditional Marvel quippiness, like in such a serious movie, but in such like a serious movie that actually did present themes of mental illness and depression and suicide and struggle and all that. The fact that they were able to do it, straight-laced and not. It was a funny fucking movie, but it was funny when it was supposed to be funny, and it was serious when it was supposed to be serious.
Yeah.
And it didn't just do the quippy, sarcastic, like, ah, ha, 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 we're playing this for laughs. Like, no, they were legitimate, like, hey, you should feel these things. These are serious things. Take that for a second. And they let those moments breathe and exist. And that was far and away my favorite part about the movie. Like, everything else was great, but the fact that they finally did that again was great for me.
It's tough to do that without like feeling cringe in some of the moments that are supposed to be comical. Like, I didn't feel anything felt forced in any of the comedy in there. I mean, Red Guardian over the top, but you still felt the emotion with him.
Red Guardian's over the top, but then the second that Yelena gets snatched into the void, dude, I'm sitting in the theater like, fuck, man. like I can't imagine like my daughter disappearing into the fucking void like that. I mean, David Harbour nailed it. Like, there was no joke. There was no laugh. There was no nothing. It was a broken man sobbing at the loss of his child. Like, and they let that play for a second. You watch them. They're dragging him away. They're like, hey, we got to go. We got to go. You can't do anything about it. So like those little moments, again, it's that balance. Like, yeah, Red Guardian's a goober. And he's fucking funny. 3/4 of the movie, fucking 8/10 of the movie. He's funny and he's irreverent. And it's like, oh yeah, you get some of your funny Marvel jokes in here. But then the moment it was time to turn it on and be like, oh shit, they let him turn it on and be like, oh shit. So
I would say even the dynamic with when he has it with Yelena right before she disappears, that's a gut-wrenching moment that, like, you feel that. You feel both of them, because that they love each other, but they just have a very unique relationship. They see each other on casual passing. It's usually something has to do with jobs, and the last time we saw them together was Black Widow, but obviously there was some context that they saw each other prior. Did somebody disconnect? Did I disconnect?
You did for a second, but then you're back.
All right, let's try it again. So I don't even know what you guys heard at this point. Then
I think we heard it all. You just paused, and then it came later.
Got it. So yeah, no, I was just saying that moment for me also, for Yelena, the actress, that part really helped define her character, because she showed so many different aspects of her character. We've seen that goofy side on the Hawkeye side. We've seen the relentless, angry side. We've seen in the void. We've seen some of the depressed and
her sitting in front of the tub with the empty bottles. Fuck, man,
it was rough. But to see her have that revelation with her dad, like, that was just, it was heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time, because he had a moment of that stage of vulnerability where I feel like the first moment that he gets serious. before he loses her. And that, as somebody that's a goofy person, a lot of the times, especially with my family, that separation of when it's time to be serious, like it really hit home and showed that, like, these are regular people that just have fucked up things happen to them in life, and they're just really trying to be better people. And I feel like it's a topic I didn't know that Marvel could do appropriate, like you said, to the way they handled these very serious topics that you and I, Tyler, talk about a lot on shows when it comes to, the mental health and stuff like that. So, I always think back now after seeing the movie, when you look at the end of how everything gets better, like a lot of the cliche online is like the power of friendship, the power of love. And it couldn't be any better the way that they handled that. Like, you can think that in your head and you think the cringiest, worst possible way of doing that, but it was so emotionally engrossed.
It was earnest.
Yeah.
It was earnest and it was honest. And that's what I was talking about the other day. So I went and saw, tangent, but I went and saw Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, episode 3 again in theaters for the 20th anniversary. And I went with a buddy of mine and we were leaving and we were talking about the movie again, when we were driving back. And we were talking about like this predates the quippiness and the idea that anything earnest has to be cut to avoid being, like Paul said, cringe. Like, you can't have a real moment where everybody feels something. You can't have these lines delivered earnestly. And, everyone kind of laughs and jokes about some of the writing and stuff with Revenge of the Sith. It's neither here nor there, but it's like a Shakespearean tragedy, right? It plays everything that it does earnestly and straightforward, and it doesn't care if it's goofy and memeable later and all that shit. It's like, no, we're going to be serious about this because it's serious shit. So this felt like the same way to me. It was very earnest, and it allowed itself to actually care about the things that it pretended to care about. You know what I mean?
Right. I was going to say, with the trailers, did you notice too, as we got closer to the release, the marketing strategy?
Is it me?
Oh yeah, that's you. You're making a good face though.
Yeah,
you're mean mugging the shit out of Benny, but you're making a good face.
Yeah, you are. No.
Oh, there we go. There, the fan's moving again. You're back.
We got 8-bit fan.
I lost everybody there. I went to the void real quick.
Yes.
Welcome back. I gave you a virtual hug. No, I don't even remember what I was saying. I was worried
Trailers
about
leading up to release.
Yeah. So the marketing changed dramatically in leading into like the last month or two. And I thought of you, Tyler, pretty much every time these trailers were coming out, because I'm like, oh, this is very artsy. A24. I'm like, this is something that Marvel does not do. And like, they're acknowledging people that are working on the set and stuff in the trailer. Like, you and I like love that because we love to thank and praise the people, that the unsung heroes. I just thought it was a very different. I'm like, are they worried? Did they like what made them change that shift? Which I think is for the better, because it also I feel it represented the tone of the movie more than any of the previous trailers.
Also agreed.
Yeah, so I think it was a smart move on them. I really hope that it continues to grow and they learn from it, versus, like, my fear is that, like I said before, just playing devil's advocate, it doesn't make enough money for them to merit the idea of it going into, oh, we can't do that again. Like, we don't want them to skip past it and try to do something else different again. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I want them to take all the good from this. And the other big thing too, I know we're running a little late, I apologize. That post-credit scene, for those, I assume you both know that it wasn't filmed by the same director of the movie. So tonality wise, it feels different. The team's established at this point. They've been, doing this for 14 months. You still have, Red Guardian being Red Guardian, pretty much, just being a goofball, but like the tone felt more like what we used to see. Not always for the better, but like, obviously it's leading into the hype of the Fantastic Four, but then they revealed this week that it was the Russos that directed that, and that
Oh, you could smell it from a fucking mile away.
So like,
motherfuckers.
So I think about that and I'm like, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Hey, you know what? I'll say they've done shit since the Avenger movies, right? They've done absolute nothing great at all. And I haven't watched any of them, but I've heard they were terrible. But everyone praised this post credit scene before that news had dropped, and now all of a sudden everyone is.
I was not everyone.
No. I mean, I don't mean the general audience that's out once it came out. I mean the people that's got.
Oh, you froze again.
Oh man.
Be this big shift in the world and this and that.
We lost you. We're losing you. Ray coming home. Ray, come home.
No, so I'll add one last thing. Give credit to the director. So Jake Schreier is the guy that directed Thunderbolts or New Avengers. And if you look at the stuff that he's done, he did Beef, which is that show on Netflix, which is really good. He's done a couple of indie movies. He did Paper Towns. He did Robot and Frank. And he fucking directed We Cry Together, the music video for Kendrick Lamar back in the day. He and Kendrick Lamar co-directed that, which was phenomenal. He did the live Chance the Rapper coloring book, Chance the Rapper's Magnificent Coloring World. He helped direct that back in the day. So, like, he knows what he's doing. He's a real director who directs actual shit and not just a journeyman that's been hired out to do what Marvel wanted them to do and basically be a figurehead, which at this point, I feel like that's all the Russos are. Like they're grossly incompetent when expected to do anything outside of the Marvel system. So at this point, I don't know if we even need to give them credit for the Marvel movies they did. Like, seriously, how do I give you guys credit for the great Marvel movies when everything else you touch turns to fucking dust and is just creatively bankrupt and awful?
Previous to the Marvel movies, they were just TV directors, right? So
Correct.
They did like Arrested Development and they did Community, and those shows are very good. Maybe they were over their head in some of this other content that they're putting out.
But do we give credit to Community for the directing, or do we give Community credit for the writing and being funny and the acting? So that's where I'm getting. Like, how much of Winter Soldier was good because of the studio mandating it be good at that time and the actors nailing it. Like, I mean, Sebastian Stan, dude, come on. That motherfucker was cooking in Winter Soldier, right? Like, so much of that movie is not great because of the direction, I feel like, at this point. And I may be wrong. I may be talking on the ass.
I feel differently, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's probably that Winter Soldier in particular. It's way better than Civil War is, and I feel like they influenced that. That's just my opinion. Again,
yeah, maybe you might be absolutely right. Just looking at their body of work outside of it, it makes me hesitant to be optimistic about what they're going to do next.
The one thing I'll say they're good at for sure, and you use Civil War and use Infinity War and Endgame, is they're good at balancing time for how much character screen time. Like, I feel like they do good with pacing and how much you see of a particular character, and that may be their strength in Doomsday and Secret Wars. They have to balance time with all these characters, and then someone else will come in, to your point, Tyler, and hone it to make sure it's the film that Marvel wants, and maybe the Russos won't do as much in the cutting room floor, right?
No, I'll absolutely concede that point, because you're right. It would have been very easy for something like Infinity War or Endgame to become a 6-hour bloated mess trying to fit all those characters in. So I agree with you on that.
And the director on this did a very good job. Everyone had their moment. Everyone feels like they mattered, and like, I think they did a really good job with the whole team dynamic. That you didn't say like, oh, I wish they gave me more of X. Like, every character really had their moment.
My only real complaint in that regard was how fast Taskmaster was gone.
I like having
Taskmaster be gone. So I would have liked it more if there wasn't if she wasn't such a big piece of like the marketing, like being front and center on the posters.
They shouldn't even had her in the marketing.
Exactly. So if she wasn't in the marketing, I would have been totally fine with it.
Yeah.
But
they also misled by having her in scenes that she was already gone.
Well, they've done that before. They've done that
they
many
do
times.
that.
Infinity War with the Hulk, right? I mean, they did that. That's Marvel's known for that.
But I thought there was a whole thing about legally them not being allowed, like movie trailers not being allowed to mislead. I thought there was a whole lawsuit on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was after Endgame and all
anyone
that stuff.
ended up getting paid.
Yeah, I don't know. I
They'll
mean,
just
people
appeal it
have
forever.
done that. People have tried to do the suit. I don't know if anybody ever won anything.
No, I thought there was like something that was being passed. That
You know what?
we weren't
I
allowed
like
to do that anymore.
And you read all these stories now, and Benny and I were talking about how like there was this more fleshed out story for her, for Taskmaster, and all this other stuff. And I don't think the movie needed it, but it did help Ghost by making her be more of a killer by having her just kill her point blank range. Whereas in Ant-Man, you don't really feel how violent or how crazy she could be, I guess.
Yeah, shooting motherfucker in the face is hard. Like it's a different thing.
I mean, you also have a suit that you would think would be very tactical, and somebody like Taskmaster would maybe have a bulletproof mask or helmet. I'm just saying, like that's comic book pettiness at this point. But like you think about that, she's walking around with a shield that has very similar aspects to Cap's and even Walker's shield. They're both tossing it around and it's not bending, breaking. You would think there'd be a little more to that. But at the end of the day, yeah, it was very flat. I felt it was a little disrespectful because nobody mourned her. I would have thought Yelena would have mourned, like maybe mentioned her again.
She did
later. It was when Ghost asked her about her, but like it was very passive.
That's true.
But
I felt like that part was okay.
Everybody wants a male Taskmaster to be more comic accurate, so they killed off the female one that they did in.
Well, that's what they're hoping, and that's not happening.
Why? They could still do it. I don't like the character in the first place, comic book wise.
I don't either. It's never been a character I give two shits about, so it never bothered me. My last little piece, which is related to, kind of related to this, but not really. Now that everything basically is under the umbrella, Disney needs to back the money truck up to Sony and get Spider-Man and that shit back. Because I'm sick and fucking tired. Like, Spider-Man should have popped up in this movie. Yeah. Like, it shouldn't have been a Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man should have popped up at the end. The city's getting fucking voided. Peter Parker should have popped up at some point and been like, yo, what the fuck is happening, guys? And the Daredevil show, he has to call him, like, what does he call him? That spider guy?
Careful. We got to be careful with Daredevil spoilers because this guy hasn't watched it yet.
Okay, no spoilers, but Spider-Man is spoken about.
It's in New York.
Right, and he calls him like that spider guy or something. Like he can't call him Spider-Man, but he wouldn't call him that. He calls him fucking Spider-Man. Like he's not some unknown at this point. He's goddamn Spider-Man. You wouldn't call Iron Man that iron dude that flies. But since the rights are all so tied up and all weird, and then they tried to kind of shoehorn the Venom stuff in, but then the extended Spider-Verse stuff has all been just such a steaming pile of horse shit that it's like, one, Sony very clearly does not know what they're doing. Like let's be honest with that. And two, this is all like prime Spider-Man time, as stupid as that sounds. There's so much cool stuff they could do with that character without wearing it out, but they don't have access to it
because they have to use him sparingly, and everything has to be it's all these politics and licensing and
it's so stupid. Honestly, I wish Disney would just stop fucking around. Like I said, back the money truck up, get Spider-Man and the pantheon of fucking villains back.
I don't think Sony will take any type of money.
They need it too desperately.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know they do. And it's so goddamn frustrating. Or if Sony would just give them the rights to do what they want while retaining ownership or whatever. Like, hey, we get a cut of anything that Spider-Man's in. Just make it flat, make it easy, make it simple. You can still make your PS5 exclusive games, and you can still do all this other shit that you want to do, but let them use Spider-Man in things. Because like I said, it just either have Spider-Man or don't.
Right.
The half-ass shit is what's annoying me. The stuff that just, again, like I said, it makes no fucking sense that Parker didn't show up.
They'll shoehorn like a single line of dialogue as to why he wasn't there for another movie.
Yeah,
he was probably on another school trip.
Right, yeah. He was in
school,
Spain doing something.
I mean, he misses all the crisis because, I mean, without going to spoilers, you know, like there's really a wanting to understand why he's not in Daredevil either.
Agreed.
There's a core value. And I was like, why? And then obviously this too. It's like, all right, New York has been in disarray, I guess, because it's not your problem right now. Because
because that's in Spider-Man's character. Yeah. He definitely looks at stuff and goes, that's kind of not my problem right now.
That's not my wheelhouse.
Spider-Man famous for avoiding problems.
The guy that doesn't get paid, it's above his pay grade, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very frustrating. So I wish they would, like I said, do one or the other.
Well, where's Cap too? That's my last thing. Where's Cap? You know, Cap
wants
to be the Avengers,
Wilson?
right? Yeah, I mean, he wants to have
kind of
Avengers,
explained
right?
at the end. Like he wants to have his own Avengers. He doesn't want to participate with these bad guys.
But he didn't help save.
He's all high and mighty, and like he's going to have the pure Avengers and all that.
But where was he in New York?
He wasn't in New York.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't. That kind of makes sense.
Is he running the West Coast Avengers?
No, but he would be in like Washington or something, right?
Yeah, he's probably in DC, fucking around, dealing with the fallout of Red Hulk and all that. That makes sense to me. Like him not showing up makes sense to me.
But he's able to be a Tiamat in the drop of a dime, right? Just saying, right? For that adamantium, right? For the Red Hulk, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, priorities, right? That's his pay grade.
I don't mind that. I think that's petty. I mean, this happened rather quickly.
Yes, I'm totally fine with new Captain America not being there.
Where's the
I don't like.
I mean, I could do this
America.
all day, guys.
I don't like half Falcon, half Captain America. I don't think Anthony Mackie really fits the role. I don't love him.
You don't think Steve Rogers saw this all happening from the moon? Come on,
stop. Steve Rogers is ear deep in Peggy, okay? He's not paying a single bit of attention to anything going on.
That's kind of gross because isn't she dead?
I mean, he's got access to stones and stuff. He's probably just recycling her.
But does he? Does he? He lost. He gave up his shield. He gave up everything. Guy could barely walk.
What are you doing on the moon?
He became roommates with Red Skull. I'd watch that show.
Yes. Yeah. Get Shane Black back. Have him direct a Steve Rogers Red Skull buddy comedy. Let's fucking go.
See, there's the use of AI. See, like I would use AI to make that picture happen because I need to see what that looks like. Just them on the moon, just sitting on on the sofa, the two of them, just juggling stones. All right, with that, I gotta get back to work.
Yeah.
No, this was cool, guys. Thank you. Appreciate your time. I salute West Coast Avengers out. Because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be West Coast Avengers and New Avengers.
Oh, they bring in the Excalibur team. I'm out. I've checked out. That's it.
Ryan Reynolds brings out X-Force, and we really get off.
Stop it.
He won't kill him this time. All right, guys. All right. Appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care and have fun.
See you guys.
Bye.